28 past the hour. Let's bring in now from Detroit the Republican governor of Michigan, Governor Rick Snyder, and along with him, Detroit's new emergency financial manager, Kevyn Orr.
Kevyn, what are you doing, Kevyn? $14 billion. What are you doing? Why don't you just try to turn around like the New York Mets? It would be so much easier.
Yeah.
It's a great challenge. We always talk about Detroit.
We love Detroit.
We love the city and hurt for it. But let's start, Governor, with you. Why did you take the action that you took on Detroit?
Well, it's needed. It's fairly straightforward. We had a financial review team come do an analysis and look at what's been going on in the city. I appreciate the efforts of the mayor and the city council to solve the problem, but it wasn't enough. We need to get this turned around, and we will get it turned around. Turning around Detroit's critically important. We need better services to citizens. We need financial stability, and we need to grow the city of Detroit. And a growing Detroit will be great for Michigan and the entire country, and we're going to get this job done.
Hey, Kevyn, what's the first step in getting the job done?
Yeah, thank you, Joe. You know, the first step is really sort of getting boots on the ground and looking at what needs to be done and developing a priorities list, sort of an inventory of what we need to do first. I mean, my priority is, in conjunction with the mayor, who's promised to be a great partner, trying to deliver services to the citizens, which I view as our customers, immediately, and then examine some of the obvious issues having to do with debt service and employee and retiree benefits.
Reverend Al Sharpton is here. Reverend.
Yeah, Governor, I think no one can defend where the condition where Detroit is in, but how do you deal with the fact that the customers, as Kevyn calls them, feel disenfranchised? I mean, that you made a unilateral decision. Their elected officials have really been, the power's been taken away, and it undermines people's right to vote because the only one that voted for Kevyn was you. And this is something that is very disturbing, that you have governors undermine the will of the voters. There was a referendum last year that was opposed to this kind of action. You did it anyway.
Reverend, if you look at it, the old law went away, but we put in a new one that really was responsive to the issues that came up during that process. And if you look at it, I'm also the elected official. I was elected by the people of Michigan, so there is an elected official responsible for this process, and I think that's critically important. The citizens of Detroit are my
elected
customer.
officials? What about if I'm in Detroit, Reverend Charles Williams and others are raising this, in all due respect, and I voted for a city council and a mayor to represent me during this financial crisis. Now you bring in someone unelected. Like in Pontiac, we had someone on the show who talked about an emergency manager come and sold the Silverdome for $500,000 that had been valued at several $1 million, over 200. I mean, Kevyn has no one to answer to that in the local constituency. That's undemocratic.
All right, Governor.
Well, let's put it in perspective, Reverend, because you brought up Pontiac, and I think that's a good illustration, along with places like Flint, where we have emergency managers in both those cities. We have an elected mayor still working with the emergency manager. The city councils are still giving input. So there's still a process going on involving those elected officials. And again, that's what I hope to see happen in Detroit. And I was very proud to have Mayor Bing with us yesterday, that the mayor is supportive of this process, because it's not about excluding people, it's about teamwork, about how do we solve these problems together and bring more resources and more tools to the table, because in Detroit, the job hasn't gotten done of turning around the city, and it's been 50 years in the making. This isn't a recent problem. So let's turn around Detroit, involving the mayor, hopefully an active city council in a positive way with solutions, and let's solve the problem and give better services to those citizens. They deserve it.
So, Kevyn, then how do you plan to manage this and navigate it politically, as well as in terms of trying to put plans in place in a city that is hurting as much as Detroit?
Well, Mika, thank you. You know, first of all, what I hope to do is explain to the people the statute that I'm appointed under and the successor statute that's about to happen was enacted after due process. The statute I'm appointed under, 72, has been on the books since 1990. That statute has a necessary precondition before I could be appointed, which is a financial emergency. Everyone agrees that there's a financial emergency in the city. Everyone agrees that something needs to be done about it. So to the extent there are concerns about due process rights and the right to vote, we are a country of laws, not of myth. The concept of receiverships, conservatorships, trusteeships is as old as the English common law, since the king began granting tariffs and commissions. So this is unusual, but it is within the bounds of the law. And how do I plan to do it? First of all, I want to explain to the people that I'm here in good faith, trying to reach a resolution, which is the biggest open secret in the city. Everybody's aware of it. Everybody knows there needs to be something done about it. Heck, in 2005, there was a discussion of a restructuring back then. Secondly, I hope to address the concerns immediately with the delivery of services and public safety. That's a big priority now, so the people understand there are things already in the pipeline that are going to enhance the quality of life in Detroit. And then we're going to dig down deep and get at the real issues that will provide a sustainable path for this city to grow, as has Baltimore, as has Pittsburgh, both of whom were considered in deep trouble just a decade ago.
I was just about to say, in terms of other cities that are good examples, and also the corporate part of this, how much of that are you going to engage?
We have great corporate citizens. In fact, in the Central Business District, which I just drove around last night and this morning, there's a tremendous amount of development. Dan Gilbert of Quicken Loans has bought over a dozen buildings. The Ford family has their stadium down here. The Illich family has the Tigers. They're looking at building a new stadium for the Red Wings. Come on down to Detroit and take a look for yourself. It's a beautiful city. What we really have to do is focus on shrinking a city that was built for 3 million people, which now has a current population of 710 geographically, and then growing that city, okay, with the proper delivery of services and moving forward. And that can be done. It's been done in other circumstances. It's been done in Washington, D.C., which 20 years ago, the 7th Street corridor was destitute.
Right. So, Governor Snyder, you know, I have nothing but Christian love for Reverend Al Sharpton. We are brothers.
Oh, you bring up a good point there.
So I disagree with the Reverend.
Good morning, Reverend.
In this respect, Governor Snyder, you are elected by the people, and you're going to have to face the voters in less than 2 years, in 2014. So when you face the voters in 2014, what can you tell the people of Detroit they should be judging you on over the next year and a half? What are your goals over the next couple of years before you have your own referendum and you have to explain to the voters why you did what you did and what do you want them to see when you go to the polls in 2014?
Well, I appreciate that, Joe, because I believe in scorecards and being held accountable for all our actions and being transparent about it. So it's really a case of better services to citizens. The citizens deserve better. They're not getting services today that they deserve, and they'll know that they're getting better services. So that's a huge issue right there. Long-term finances, let's get that straightened out. And the timeline we're working under is basically an 18-month timeline, which would be October or so of next year. So this will be a very clear issue by next November, and I'm happy with that because I should be held accountable, and we're going to show results.
All right, Governor Rick Snyder, thank you so much. And Kevin,
Orr,
man,
thank you.
Condolences, dude. $14 billion.
We're going to get it done.
I tell you what, good luck. We're cheering for you, and let us know how we can help. David Rimnick, you're fresh off your research.